Hello, and welcome to My Xbox and Me, episode 260. Crap, 1 second. I literally just wrote it down. Let me check. I don't want to get it wrong. 268. Oh, yeah. I am one of your hosts, MC Fixer, alongside the one and only Too Fresh Crash. Crash, I've got something to say on top. All the way at the top, I've got to tell you something.
Okay.
Number one, I'm liking the hat. The
I
hat,
thought you didn't like the hat.
with the hair, as the hair looking right now, looks pretty good. The other thing I gotta say is I shaved. Did you notice?
I did notice.
It's not a good look.
It's
not a
saw
good
you post
look.
Discord, so I don't want to say anything.
It's not a good look, Crash. I've
It's how
decided.
you used to look.
I know. I think I look better with a beard, with a tiny beard, a quote unquote beard. That's not a real beard, Fixer. Fuck you guys.
You know what it is it probably doesn't look as bad as you assume it does. It's just this is the first time you haven't seen yourself. You've seen yourself without a beard in a while, and it looks different.
I feel like I look like a Mr. Potato Head. You know, like someone's just put different parts in my face now, and my whole face doesn't come. I don't have that jawline. I don't have nothing anymore. Nothing.
I disagree. I think you have, one of the most valuable faces in this industry, Fix.
I hate you.
I gave you a compliment.
Yeah, but we both know it was a backhanded. If you don't know what My Xbox and Me is, it's our weekly Xbox podcast right here on youtube.com/myxboxandme and all podcast services. If you want the show early and you want to support it financially, head over to patreon.com/mcfixer, where you can get other goodies and content, other early access content. All of my YouTube content that goes on there, Patreon supporters usually get at least 2 days in advance. So please do, if you have the time and you have the financial backing. We are in a hard time right now, I'm sure, for everybody, so I totally understand that. But if you are someone who enjoys the podcast, you listen to the podcast, and you're like, hey, I want this to keep going, and one day I want to be able to see a big team grow, and maybe we become something a little bit bigger than what we currently are, please do consider supporting over on patreon.com/mcfixer. The big one this week, Crash, obviously, is the Xbox Series X reviews are out there. So that will be our topic of the show this week. I have an Xbox Series X, Crash. You may have heard it. You may have heard me speak about it. I know, crazy, right? And I've been playing it. But we've heard my thoughts. If you listen to, go and check out my review over on youtube.com/mcfixer. I have a full review up. It's 10 minutes long of me breaking down quick resume, backwards compatibility, load times, design, heat and sound, all of that. A proper breakdown of everything. I worked really hard on it, so I'd appreciate if people went and checked it out. I've been getting some good feedback on it, but it just didn't perform the way I wanted it to perform. Like, it's on I think it's on 200 plus views, and I'm like, that took me 3 days, to get it to where I wanted it, re-edited it 7 times, and I'm like, oh, man, is this YouTube? Is this how it works? Again, I'm still proud of it. I'm still happy that I was able to do it. Again, thank you to Microsoft for providing me an Xbox Series X for review. But yeah, I want to just sort of do a quick roundup on some of the other outlets that are out there. You've got Tech Radar, who gave it 4 stars out of 5, if I'm not mistaken. I'm trying to find their star system right now. I'm guessing they'll be at the bottom of the panel, because that's what most websites do, right? It's a deep review. You should all go check it out. Very, very, very well written. I've read a load of them, because I got caught up in that moment where I was like, oh no, is what I said, imposter syndrome type thing, where I'm like, was I on the right basis as everybody else? You go around checking everybody else's, and I'm like, not that I care what anybody else says, but I just wonder what other people thought. Tech Radar has this to say on its pluses: significantly fast load times, Dolby Vision and Atmos support, 4K 60 gameplay, 4K 120Hz support, backwards compatibility for big range games. And minus against it is launch lineup is lacking, minimal UI improvements, compatible TV required for all visual experiences. So meaning to get the most out of the console, you need a 4K TV, to be honest with you, or monitor. Right. Then we've got our friends, obviously, over at IGN. And I say friends because, Ryan's a great guy. Shout out to Ryan McGaffrey, great guy. They gave it an 8 and have said kind of the exact same thing. It's mainly what I've seen coming out of the camp of people that are playing on the Xbox Series X is it's a fantastic machine. It does everything it says on the tin, but ultimately, it doesn't have any first party titles that make you need the console like right now. And that's exactly what I said in my review as well. The changes you will see are going to be really big. They're going to be big changes. You're going to love the machine. But without having Halo, which is what we were expecting, you're kind of left a little bit like, man, where's Halo? Or where's Forza? Or where's Gears? Or where are these titles that we know should be there, we would want to be there, and yeah, just something new. I know we've spoken about it before. We did on our episode that we ended up not putting that just because I didn't like the way it flowed, which was no Rise, like that type of game, no Dead Rising,
Yeah.
no third party exclusive at all this gen. It feels weird.
It doesn't even need to be something that like really shows off the capabilities of next gen so much more as like the power and like the graphical fidelity that this next gen might offer to some degree.
Which
And I
is
agree, like it kind of seems void of that. I know that there will be games that are getting those next gen updates, and maybe that's where we'll sort of start to see it.
an
But it
old
really
game.
is,
But old game.
yeah,
It's
it
an old
really is
game.
a
That's
shame
the
that
problem.
Microsoft doesn't have anything. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah. On a base, like I said, on a base level for me, I think most of my Xbox in the audience are going to be extremely happy with the Xbox Series X. I can't talk about the Xbox Series S. I didn't get one. I only got the X to review, so I can't talk about the other one, unfortunately. Load times, quick resume, 4K visuals, 120 hertz support. There's a lot here. It just
Yeah.
doesn't have that same wow factor as a normal console lifecycle. It does more. It feel more in the kin to a PC upgrade than it does a big next step in console. Unfortunately,
Do you think if it had the launch lineup that it does right now, but it came with like a brand new UI and things of that nature, do you think it would soften that blow a little bit?
for me
Yeah.
or in general.
For you and in general.
For
Opinions on
me,
both.
yes. I think for me, just looking at something different compared to what I've seen for the last, how long have I been in the preview program having this new dashboard? 2-3 months?
Yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah. So for me, it would be like a little bit more like a kid at Christmas unwrapping his present to see where I've got to go and find everything. That was kind of the hard part about reviewing this console, where like I have to remember not everybody's me. Not everybody plays all their games on third party on Xbox and plays all the first party games. Not everybody knows where all the menus are, knows how to change the video output, and
Yeah.
that sort of had to put myself back in the shoes of like a normal consumer again. And in general, I think in general it doesn't matter. I think
Got it.
for I always use Mickey for instance, which is my friend who plays FIFA and COD, and he'll play whatever the trendy game is at the time, sort of thing. But he's not like I playing Yakuza like a dragon.
Yeah.
He's not gonna care that there's not a new update, a new UI. He's gonna think of it more like an iPhone, which is exactly what this is. Like, does it run better? Does it feel better? Does it look better? Yes, yes, yes. Perfect. I'll buy it.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah, no. I generally tend to agree with that probably. Is that it probably doesn't matter in the long run. Man, it really like the closer this console gets and the more you hear people who have the console talking about it, it really, and we've mentioned this before, it really does miss Halo. And it
Oh,
really is like evident.
hugely,
Yeah.
hugely, dude. This isn't even a no joke. Like, imagine I'm sat here again talking to you about, dude, I just played Halo. I'm not a Halo guy, but I'm like, dude, I just played Halo. Oh my god, it looks like this. Oh my god, it plays like this. Oh my god, it's this, that. It's open world. It's this. It does this. It does this. It's different. It's that. Bah. But no, I'm here talking to you about Gears of War 5, which is a great game.
Yeah.
Fantastic
But
game.
it's old.
Looks beautiful, but I beat it last year.
Yeah. An old game's old.
It is for me. I know it isn't for
Yeah.
everybody, but it is for me.
Yeah.
I spent my time with this console mainly playing like 5, Yakuza Like a Dragon, anything new, Watch Dogs Legions, anything new I could get my hands on. That's what I wanted
Yeah.
to spend my time playing on this machine, not
Yeah.
Gears 5, which is old, and Forza 4, which is old, or Sea of Thieves, which is old. I want new when I'm buying a $500 console. I want new stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I completely agree. And I do think that you've mentioned this before, but I just want to like sort of reiterate that you were in a um fortunate spot where if you did want to play a better looking version of a lot of these games, you could
I
have
could
played them
have.
on your PC.
Yeah.
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 So
But yeah, overall the reviews have come out pretty good for Xbox, I think.
yeah.
Especially considering if you compare it to last generation with the Xbox One, it's night and day.
Yeah.
The thing they've hit now on the head, which is features, it has everything. Do you want to upgrade your storage? Because there isn't. It's got a terabyte, but you only get to use about 800 gig of it, which disappears very, very quickly. I need to tell you that. Moving games from your HDD to SSD is pretty fast though.
Yeah.
So it's not like it's too terrible, but there still is that problem. I can't sit
Yeah.
here and lie to you and act like there isn't.
To be fair, I think it was Digital Foundry that did a video about playing games through your external SSD with a high quality core that has high transfer rates, that it does have some pretty quick load times that way as well. So if there's a game that you don't play as often or you don't care about load times, or the game generally has faster load times than other games, that you might keep on that as well.
Got ya.
So there is that option for people too.
Okay. But yeah, I'm excited for people to get their hands on them. I'm excited for people to be into next gen. But yeah, you really do. You really do need a 4K to 2K monitor to really get the power of this. You're gonna get the load times. You're gonna get quick resume.
Yeah.
But to see what IGN's talking about with Gears 5, like Gears 5 is already a breathtaking looking game. But looking at it, excuse me, looking at it on my 55-inch OLED, HDR, all of that on, it's like it takes it to then another level that I didn't even think existed, honestly.
I think there's also the fact that like one thing that people who don't have 4K TVs can benefit from is the ray tracing.
Yeah.
But games don't really have ray tracing
Enough.
right now. So that's another thing where you can't see. And that is something that you don't need a 4K monitor or something
Yeah.
to notice.
Yeah.
Or frame rates, right? Because frame rates and 4K are two things that are like, it's easy to like talk about, but it's hard to really explain. It's hard to like get people to process and understand the differences.
Yeah, the frame rate thing, we spoke about this on the Mike episode, which is already out. So if you haven't checked out myself and Mike from Outside Xbox, we sort of went through your questions that I asked on Twitter and answered those. It's on the My Xbox and Me podcast feed, but if you're watching the video version, it's actually on my YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/mtfixer. For reasons behind the scenes, I can't get into it, but yeah. Yeah, it's just that Mike was saying that it's like how steady the frame rate is the next thing though. It's like it's not that it sometimes hits 60. It is 60 solid on most things that I played. Like there's no even like draw distances and things like that those sort of things are just not a worry anymore.
I have an interesting question for you. So let's say we get deeper into the generation and games start being more ambitious with what they do with the games, more particles,
Yep.
more objects on screen, more
Mhm.
things you're interacting with. If the option becomes 4K 30 or 1440 60, like a constant 1440 60, do you think you'd ever make the choice to go for the 1440 60 over the 4K 30?
Yeah.
With ray tracing. So you have
Yeah.
1440 ray tracing on 60. You would take that over?
Frame rate's more important than resolution. But I honestly don't think you're gonna that conversation's not gonna happen. I don't think.
Okay.
For the Xbox Series X. For the Xbox Series X, totally different conversation. But for the X, I truly believe, I don't even need to say truly believe, I know that this thing is not tapped out at the top of what I'm using it on. I get what you're saying, like the deeper and deeper we get into the generation, but I honestly, I think by that point we're going to get a smaller version which can do even more. I don't know what, I don't know how, I don't understand how this technology works and how we get to these places, but it's consoles. We know that a console life cycle gets through to about 4 to 5 years, then they shrink it down.
Yeah.
And it will be able to do something. I don't know what, maybe VR, who knows what they'll add to it, but it'll be able to do something that's magical that we're all like, we must have it. So
I know the answer to that.
Go on.
Well, Microsoft's buying Sega and it's going to have a Sega Genesis in it.
But they just sold their arcades. Why would Microsoft want them?
True.
But yeah, it's a good time to be an Xbox fan. I can't wait until we get like State of Decay 3 and obviously Fable, and I'm even excited for the racing games. Like, to see the new Forza on this, to see the new Forza Horizon on this, like, they're going to look ridiculous. So, looking forward to that. So that's the review section of the Xbox Series X. Let's move on to what's been in our box this week. Crash, I've been playing a little game you may have heard of called Watch Dog Legion.
Yeah.
You heard of it?
You have? I have heard of it before. Once or twice. It's really like this underground indie game, right?
Yeah.
Not a lot of people talking about it. Doesn't get a lot of ad time or anything like that.
Exactly.
Pretty low budget.
Yeah. Just this little company called Ubisoft. You may have never heard of them, I understand.
Yeah.
It's really good. From what I've played so far. I'm very much taking my time with it. Again, I'm still embargoed, technically, on some stuff when it comes to the Series X. So can't say too much about it, but when I was playing it on my Xbox One X, it looked pretty good. It's not like, I don't feel like it's like crazy amazing looking, but I don't think it's an ugly game at all. The world is really good. They now London to a T, no pun intended. It just feels like a truncated London, which is really good. It doesn't have my part of London though. It doesn't, and that's no, it doesn't have. It doesn't have the O2. If it had the O2, 10 out of 10 game. Because by that time, I would know the area more, and I would know if I'd be able to be like, yo, this game is next level. Like this, I literally go to this Netflix there. I was gonna say this cinema there. I literally go to this here. So if they add something like that in the DLC, like if they added the O2, like the Greenwich area, in the O2, whew, I'd be going nuts.
For future Watch Dogs, do you think you'd want them to stay in the UK area and sort of like expand?
They're not going to. They're not going to. But yeah, no, they've done it. I'm very happy to see a game set in London. The story makes sense for it. It makes sense why there's guns here. It makes sense all of that stuff that you always say. Like, at least as an English person, we always go, "Oh, they can't do GTA in England." And it's like, why? It's like, because we don't have guns. Like, unless you're gonna do it like this, where like the government has taken over, so now we're fighting back as a group of people. It just doesn't make sense otherwise. Like, yeah, don't get me wrong. Like, terrible people can get guns in England. There's not like non-existent, but it's not like let's walk into our local gun shop and
you can't go to your Walmart and buy a gun.
Buy an M16. No, it's just not quite how it works here. Sorry.
Yeah.
So yeah, but yeah, I really, really do like Watch Dogs. I really like the concept. I haven't played too much of its story yet. You got a code, right?
Yeah, I haven't had the opportunity to jump into it just yet.
Yeah.
I've been busy with another game that we're going to talk about in a little bit.
Yeah. 100%. It's just we got so much to play right now to get through before we get to the end of the year, and it's really going to be pushed till the end of the year this year because Cyberpunk's obviously been delayed into December, where usually you can start thinking about what your game of the year is by the end of this month, I would say. Yeah. But with Cyberpunk coming, and there's a few, ain't Phoenix Rising in December as well?
Yeah, it's sometime around then.
And I'm like,
as well.
Oh god, there's so much.
About like a week ago or two, I made a whole like top 10 list. What did I play this year? Like what's gonna go here and all this stuff. And I look at it, I'm like, I don't know if the bottom 5 games on this will still stay there by the end of the year.
I was thinking about it I was in bed last night. I had a headache, but I had my eyes closed just thinking about games and stuff. And I was like, isn't it wild that in a year where there's been new hardware and a Resident Evil game dropped, that the Resident Evil game probably won't be in my top 10?
Really? Interesting.
Some of the other experiences that I've had this year are above it. Like, not that doesn't take away from Resident Evil being a good game, because I think it's still a great game. But it didn't do the Resident Evil 2 thing to me, right? So even the other day I looked at it, was like, should I play this again? And I was like, nah, I'm good. Like, nah, it's fine. It's not a problem. Like, I will play it again at some point, of course. It's Resident Evil. I play through every Resident Evil game every year. Except for 4, 5, 6. Even 7's now on that list. Even 7 is now on that list. I will now add 7 into my
so
routine.
You'll replay it every year?
Yeah. I'm happy I let you bully me into playing it again and giving it another chance.
I'm glad, because I really thought you were being hard on the game. Because in general, the general consensus for that game was that it was better than you were making it.
It still isn't a good Resident Evil game. But it is a Resident Evil game. That's
I'm
what you're
not the
getting.
Resident Evil guy, so I can't disagree with
Yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah, I know what you're saying.
Even though I want to, let me be 100% clear to everybody listening. I really want to disagree with that.
But you
I have
can't.
no basis to disagree with that.
We also were playing another game, Chris, that you've been putting a lot of hours into. I know, and
Yes.
I'll go first. 'Cause I'm no spoilers, of course, for any game that we're talking about.
Right.
But I'm only about 3 hours in, I would say, into Yakuza Like a Dragon. But from what I have played, I'm like, what? This game is wacky and dumb and fun and stupid and colorful and bright, and it's got a lot more VO than the previous Yakuza game I played. In
Yeah.
terms of like, there still is like text speech that you need to read, but it's quite light, and
Yeah.
I'm just like, you don't need to read it to even understand what's going on. Really, if you didn't want to, you could just skip it. I'm reading it because I'm really enjoying the world. But playing Yakuza Like a Dragon, I'm like, this might be the sleeper hit this year, right?
Yeah, I put out that exact tweet I think yesterday, where it was like, this probably is my most slept on game, and I was not expecting. Like, we talked about it before, and I was like, yeah, you were like, yeah, it's an RPG. You like RPGs, all this stuff, and I'm like, yeah, I don't know. I look at it and I see the gameplay, and it just seems very wonky. But
Yeah,
then once you actually play the game and you're playing like the way the RPG works and the reason it is an RPG, and it's like, oh, it's really silly. It acknowledges itself as being silly,
yes,
and it sort of builds on that. And then it also has serious moments, which I really do
yeah,
like, that it does have moments where it takes itself serious, and it really is a different flavor every time you go back into the game, right? What are you going to do this time you're playing the game? And I really, really enjoy that. On top of like the RPG mechanics in the game are actually really cool.
yep.
I like the job system. I like the way the
I haven't even
combat
got
works.
to that yet.
Where in the combat, like if you have a bike in front of you, you can pick up the bike
Yeah,
and you
yeah.
just smash it
I
with the
love.
bike
I
and stuff
picked
like
up
that.
picked up a bike. I picked up a bench. I picked up a chair.
Yeah.
And it just naturally interacts with the world around you, right? And it's just
Yeah.
like, oh, this is dope.
Yeah, and it makes you think, like, I have the bike in front of me, I might grab that. Maybe I don't need to use my ability here,
Yeah.
or something like that. Or if you want to attack the guy in the back who's really weak, but there's somebody in front of him, it's like either you have to decide, like, I'm not going to attack that person, or you have to choose, like, I'm going to waste my MP to actually attack the guy in the back. Otherwise, I'm going to be stopped in motion to him.
Yeah.
I really like that aspect of it, and how you can also just wait because the people are naturally moving, and it kind of is this like constantly shifting.
It's like a game of
which is really
chess.
interesting.
It's like each
Yeah.
battle you get into, it's like a game of chess. They're constantly moving. It's constantly evolving of what's going on in the world. And it is. It's obviously the problem with these games for me is just they're so bloody long. Zyga right now has a review up on my Xbox and me. Shout out to Zyga. He got the code very late and was still able to get a review up almost perfectly on embargo.
Beat it in like 2 days, I think.
I think he said it was 3 days in 40 hours or something
Yeah.
like that he had to do.
Yeah.
Which was nuts.
Crazy, yeah.
So shout out to him. But yeah, it's one of those games where I'm just like, damn, this is good. This is good.
Yeah.
It's a shame that this is the game though, the next gen that people are. You've got not in a negative way. I don't mean it in maybe the way it may come across, because the quality of the game is just amazing, and to have an RPG on the next gen systems is amazing. It just doesn't do anything on the next gen systems to go,
It isn't.
oh, this is why you have to have this console. Like, you need it for this game. Like, no.
It's a good game, but it doesn't show off the next.
I'd say it's a great game. It just doesn't show off
yeah.
Like,
I also just want to give Xbox huge kudos. We've talked about, like, they need JRPG, they need Japanese games. This is a Japanese game through and through. This is an RPG through and through. This is what they needed to go and what they needed to target. And I'm really glad they do have something, and hopefully they keep bringing games like this.
All jokes aside, it does make me go, you should probably buy Sega. I know we spoke about it, the rumors was around and things like that, but like, they just hit a different market that Xbox just doesn't have.
Yeah.
And playing this even more so, I was like, I want more of these experiences on Xbox. Like, we don't get them. We don't get the Personas. We don't get a lot of the other titles. I know Phil's doing a great job of trying to bring them over, but they usually come over so late. I think that's the key thing here. They usually come over so late that I'm like, oh, they're old, don't care. Where this is day and date with the new hardware. You can play it on your Xbox One. people were saying that it's coming to Game Pass. Like, no, it's not. It's not launching in Game Pass.
Yeah.
So like this
I
is.
saw people saying that. I was confused. I was like looking for the answer.
Yeah.
I was looking for that, and I was like, I don't see anywhere that
No.
it says it's coming to Game Pass.
No, it's not. It's not in Game Pass. It's a $60 $60.
It's a
$60
game,
experience. I don't know how much it is on PlayStation, but yeah, it's just a lot of fun. A lot of fun. So you should definitely check it out.
Completely agree.
Moving on, I played Bandai Namco's new published game, the Dark Picture Anthology Little Hope. If you don't know what this is the continuation of the trilogy from Man of Medan, which is like it's like a Telltale type game, but it's more done in more of a realistic settings and things like that. This one was kind of I don't want to spoil anything in this game, because anything that I do say about its story is a spoiler. Unfortunately, it is. But the premise of the game is that you are this group of characters that go into this town and things are just off from the start. Things do not add up, and it's then your job to try and escape these absolute creatures that are trying to murder you at every step of the way. So you're making decisions throughout, which then what's the word I'm looking for? Can cost other people their lives and things like that. So you're very much quick time events to stay alive, and if you don't hit the quick time event, you mess it up, that character's dead. Done. They're out of the story. It's over for them. My first playthrough, and the only playthrough I've currently played, and I can't wait to play it again, but I want to play it again when I can get it on Xbox, and maybe play it through either with you or play it through with Haley. Everyone lived in my playthrough, so I didn't get and it was still a fantastic experience. About 3.5 hours, 4 hours it took for me to do the whole story. So it's not like a crazy long game, but there is so much replayability there because I didn't see anyone get murdered. So I didn't see certain other story elements to the game. I got the ending the ending I played it through with Laura Kate Dow, and the ending I got was very interesting because it then put a whole new perspective on the whole game. So playing through that game with the information that I have is even more interesting now. So I'm really looking forward to it. I am playing it again. I definitely think it's it's £25 on Xbox. I think it's worth £25. I think the experience is worth £25. If you're into these narrative-driven games, don't sleep on this, in my opinion. And play the other one as well.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, how do you think it holds up compared to the last game they put out?
I prefer Man of Medan, personally, but its setting is more. How do I say? I don't want to, again, without spoilers. Its setting just worked better for me in Man of Medan, and the concept they have there works better in Man of Medan for me. But that doesn't take away from this one. It's just that the setting on a ship, which is Man of Medan, you're on a ship, compared to being in this spooky town, for me, which the town is Little Hope, that's why the name of the title, it just doesn't work for me, as well as, doesn't take away, and some of the other stuff that you do isn't as enjoyable for me as what it was in Man of Medan. It's not as scary as I was hoping for either. Like, the actual monsters and creatures that you're up against, I don't think scared me once. They were there. There were moments that did scare me in the game. Like, you can watch my Twitch VOD to see that, where I'm absolutely like, oh, like the whole damn time. But the actual creatures were not the things that freaked me out.
Got it.
So, yeah. Shout out to Bandai, because they're the ones that sent me a code for that. So thank you very much. But yeah, it's a great game. It's a great game. It's definitely worth your time. It's definitely on my top 10 list, by guaranteed. Because I haven't...
Okay.
Because there's no... Again, I'm trying to play more experiences that I don't necessarily get to play all the time. And you have to applaud a game genre that will stick to it. They know what they're good at. They know the graphics of these games are amazing. The motion capture is amazing. The stories are very well told. There's a lot there, you know? So, yeah, it's definitely in my top 10 list. Definitely. Where it lands on that top 10 list, who knows? And will it stay on my top 10 list? Who knows?
Who knows?
But right now, if you were like, is it in your top 10? 100% yes. And I played a lot of games.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can leave it there. I played Gears 5 as well, which has got new modes. It's got Dave Bautista as Marcus Phoenix, and Big Head mode is now in the game. Don't really need to touch on it too much. You should definitely experience Gears 5 if you get your new consoles. It's in Game Pass. It has a ton of new modes. It has a ton of new stuff to check out in the game, and I cannot wait for that story DLC, Crash. Cannot wait.
Yeah. One of my favorite like experience in Gears of War to this day is actually the DLC for the third one. So I'm
Yeah,
really
yeah.
excited and interested to see what they do with the DLC for this, especially like with how gorgeous the game is and where like the franchise is currently.
Yeah.
I wonder, will it be like a linear story, or will they give us an open world bit, or like how exactly are they going to approach and what are they going to do?
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%. We got no questions this week because me and Mike answered them all pretty much yesterday. So we'll jump into this week's dashboard, which is the news this week. We got a rock block of PlayStation news, but stick with me because I'm going somewhere with it. Okay, don't think this is turned into my PlayStation and me. I promise it hasn't.
Okay.
But PlayStation 5 seemingly won't support native 144p resolutions. This one was taken from IGN and written by Jordan Ollerman. The PS5 won't support a native 144p resolutions according to IGN Italy, which says received official confirmation from Sony Europe on Wednesday. The bad news for PlayStation fans, I think for gamers all around the world, actually, I added that in, with 144p monitors, it means the PlayStation will not play with the intended resolution that is set, and likely upscaling from 1080p to compensate. IGN's reached out for comment from Sony as well. So that's one thing, Crash.
Yeah.
That's one thing. And let me read them all out before we kind of break this down, right? Because there's a couple of things here which is just really interesting to me. So that's number one. Number two, this one comes from Push Square, written by Robert Ramsey. The PS5's limited SSD storage space cannot be upgraded at launch. So for those who don't know, the PS5 has a 825 gig SSD in it, which leaves you with around 700 gig space free in it. So the second SSD slot that is in the PS5 is disabled at launch. Okay? That's number two. Yep. And then the last one that I want to get through here, which is the most interesting, and it's so interesting with timing for these things, isn't it? Godfall is a timed exclusive for PlayStation for consoles for 6 months. So Godfall is only a 6-month timed exclusive, Crash. Nah.
Yep.
You might be saying to yourself, why are you reading all this news out on my Xbox and me? Because I think it opens up a very big question when it comes to comparing the PS5 to the Xbox Series X, in my opinion. Obviously, reviews have dropped for the PS5, and this is kind of an unfair argument because I've not got a PS5 right now. I know a lot of my friends in the UK do. I do not currently have one, so I wouldn't be able to talk about it anyway. But even if I could, I'm just talking from the heart here, which is we are comparing two consoles, right?
Yep.
One of them has a smaller hard drive, which is faster, I will say. One of them doesn't support a monitor that a large majority of an audience, of the hardcore audience, probably has. And one of them does have exclusive games, but they're timed. Why does this not get brought up in mainstream a lot? And is there an unfair bias out there? Because I feel like if this was the other way around, if Xbox had limited storage space and you couldn't upgrade, media would be all over this. If it didn't support 144p monitors, the media would be... I don't mean just covering it. I feel like there would be more of a big deal swirling it when it comes to Xbox. And the timed exclusive thing, people have condemned Xbox from the day I remember covering it for timed exclusives are bad. Why would you do this? Blah, 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 blah. What's going on here, Crash? And is it even a fair assessment at this point? Because one console can do a lot of things that the other cannot do at launch when you buy it.
Yeah, this is a hard argument to have without having a PS5, right?
Yes.
Because there are features the PS5 will have, and we don't know what those features are necessarily.
Yep.
Without getting our hands on it. The Godfall thing, we knew that was a timed exclusive for a while now.
We knew it was a PC thing. It was coming to PC as
we knew
well
it was
as.
a console timed exclusive as well.
We just didn't know
That's
how
not new
long.
news. Yeah.
Oh,
So
okay.
now we know it's 6 months. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
The limited SSD thing isn't a surprise either because they said like there's not going to be an SSD that you can use.
They didn't say that. They alluded to it. They didn't. You can't.
Okay.
Because that's not the same thing. It's not the same thing
All right.
by alluding to something and then actually having a statement. They've now said that you can't do it. But you're saying that with people already have it. They have the consoles. You've sold something this people have pre-ordered this. And we didn't have this information, which is, I think that's terrible.
But people have been talking about this. Like that, you can say that.
What do you mean by people have been talking about it?
Who? When they announced the fact that when Mark Cerny did his thing and they talked about the SSDs and about how you'll be able to use any SSD that matches the speed.
Yeah.
There were conversations about there won't be SSDs that match the speed for a long time.
But there wasn't from Sony.
Okay, I understand, but you're saying that people bought the consoles without knowing this. That's not necessarily true.
No, it is true because you're listening to the ecosystem in which we live in and the echo chamber in which we live in. What about my other friends that don't have that? They don't know that they can't
buy an external. Are they going to buy another hard drive?
But they have that option on the Xbox. Okay. They don't even have that option on PlayStation. There's not even that option.
I completely understand, but my whole thing is like they said that this is going to be a third-party thing.
Yeah. Yes, I agree with you on that. They did say that. But I still don't think you can take away the fact that this is slimy and a little bit scummy and weird from PlayStation to not be upfront about this. We're 2 weeks in the UK. I think we're 2 weeks out.
Yeah.
In the US, I think you're a week out.
We're a week, yeah.
Right? Do you not think we should have known this before a week before the consoles are coming out? That PlayStation, it just seems like a weird thing to do, in my opinion.
I think this is a hard conversation for me to have because I don't know how much people outside of how much people actually care about that, and it's hard for me to judge how many people.
Okay, let me ask you like this: Do you not think it's weird that a company would hide this information until 2 weeks before? And that's what they've done. If you're not upfront about something, you're hiding it.
But
what?
This is where we're going to disagree because if they alluded to it, they're not hiding it.
I don't even think. Okay, I'm a well-informed gamer, right? I'm a well-informed gamer. I look at a lot of things. Alluding to something, even to me, goes over my head a lot of the time. But so until a company actually comes out and says it and confirms it, I think it's bad practice. Alluding to something. I get what you're saying. I think alluding to something when you're selling people something isn't right. Alluding to it. You're a company that expects me to drop. What was the PlayStation in I think £500 I've paid with an extra controller. So I can't remember the exact price of the PS5. I think it's $450. I think it's the same as the Series X. Alluding to something that's going to cost me £450 isn't good enough.
Okay. I mean, that's fair. I don't think you're necessarily wrong. Yeah, I don't think you're wrong. To be 100% clear, like I don't think you're wrong about this fix. I do think they should have been like upfront about this, but at the same time, this is how Sony plays it. This is what Sony does. Sony alludes to the stuff that they don't have. They're very open and front about the stuff they do have.
Yeah,
and this is just the game Sony plays.
Yeah,
be it good or bad. Right.
It's just Sony very does. Interesting. It's very, very interesting. And I think it's just because I've covered Xbox for such a long time now that I sit here and I go, if this was the other way around, the internet would be eating Microsoft alive. Eating them alive for not being transparent and not telling the truth and seemingly not lying, because I don't think lions, if you don't say something, it doesn't mean you're lying, but it does mean, I still think to me, it feels like you're lying. I'll be honest. To me, it feels like it. It feels like it, but I understand you're not technically lying if you don't say anything. Yeah. But again, the same thing with the 144p. To get round to this conversation, it's weird to compare the two now. When I have to sit down and do my video comparing the PS5 to the Xbox Series X, I already know that two of the key features Xbox have over them, and people just go like, yeah, but it don't have the games. They don't have the games, which is a fair, which is a fair argument. But in the same breath, in 6 months' time, which is a long time, 6 months is a long time, you're going to lose a lot of exclusives. Really? Because if this is like this,
But
we already know Demon Souls. There was that weird thing with it. Final Fantasy 16, there was that weird thing. So there's more to... What I'm saying is this, the Godfall stuff opens it up even more so where it's like, okay, there's more to this than what we even know, I think.
Demon Souls and Final Fantasy. The thing that they alluded to was those games
PC.
coming to PC.
But I think it's a knock-on effect.
Demon Souls, no.
No,
Sony
I'm not
owns
saying.
IP for
I'm
Demon
not saying.
Souls.
I meant more Final Fantasy than
Okay.
Demon Souls. I apologize.
Got it. Yeah, Final Fantasy is definitely still a possibility. But if we want to talk about Final Fantasy 7 still hasn't made its way over to the Xbox.
But it's still currently in its window.
I understand, but we haven't heard anything. We haven't seen anything for that game.
I think it's
like,
just the deals I think it's the deals they sign where it's like you ain't saying shit, mate.
But then why did Godfall
different deal
announce?
Not on the same level as Final Fantasy 7, is it?
I understand, but you would assume that Sony makes the same sort of like requirements out of their deals in terms of exclusives. You don't think so?
No, that's not good business. I would definitely gag if let's say we had Cyberpunk on Xbox for a year. Yeah. I would be like, you ain't talking about it for a year. Where let's say we got Bag Snacks on PlayStation for a year, but yeah, just tell them in 6 months' time it's fine. Like I wouldn't care.
I don't know about
that. Different strokes for different folks and different strokes for different games, in my opinion.
Okay.
Let's move on, Crash. Let's move on to EA have revealed the full plans for the Xbox Series X upgrades. This also applies to PlayStation, but no one cares about them. This is an Xbox podcast. FIFA and Madden will both be getting upgrades on, I think it's, let me read this. So Madden 21, sorry, this was written by Matt TM Kim as well at IGM. Madden 21 and FIFA 21 will be backwards compatible on Next Gen if you already own the PS4 or Xbox One X or S versions of either game. On December 4th, existing owners will be able to redeem a free Next Gen upgrade for Madden 21 and FIFA 21. It doesn't actually say in this article right now what the upgrades are going to be. But we do have some information on Star Wars Squadron, which will be supporting 144p at 60 frames per second on the Xbox Series S and up to 121p at 60 FPS on the Xbox Series X. In performance mode, players can achieve 144p, 120 FPS on the Series S, and 160p, 120 FPS on the Xbox Series X. Also, you have got 144p. So this is interesting. Apex Legends will experience a boost in performance on the Xbox Series X and Xbox Series S and the PS5 to 144p. But we now know that's not true because PlayStation doesn't support 144p.
No, it does support 144p. It does support 1000.
It doesn't support it. It doesn't support 144p monitors. Okay, cool.
Yes. So if you have a 4K TV or monitor or whatever,
so it still be. Got you. Thank you for making that clear to me. The Sims 4 will be getting the Star Wars Journey to Batuu. Cool. It also comes with faster load time, smooth frame rate, and next gen snowy expansion. That's also going to be available on PC. There's a few other titles that are also getting upgrades, such as UFC, NHL, and Need for Speed Hot Pursuit Remastered, all coming on the Series X and S. EA are doing their bit, are upgrading their games, Crash. They're upgrading their games. The other information that come out from EA on this EA Rock block is that Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order will be in EA Play November 10th, the same day that the Series X releases. Which means if you have Game Pass, you can now play Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order.
Yeah, on the 10th.
Yep.
On the next gen console as well.
Yep.
Good news for you if you haven't played it.
Amazing news.
Yep. How do you feel about the inclusion of next gen upgrades? And do you think EA will actually make them next gen upgrades, or it'll just be like frame rate upgrades?
No, that's what we've just said is what you're getting, mate. You're not getting nothing more. I
figured,
but I also understand it. It's like you're gonna want the next Battlefield, the next Star Wars game, the next
Yeah.
FIFA and Madden. You need those to seem like an absolute huge jump. And
Yeah.
if you upgrade these games any further than what you're currently doing, it's not going to seem like it, you know?
So do you think that the way NBA is doing it is a mistake? Because
No,
I know for
I
the
think it's
NBA,
the
the
right
upgrade
way.
isn't free.
I
It's the right way?
I personally
Okay.
think it's the right thing to do. Make a whole new game, a whole. I'm excited to play NBA again.
Okay.
As you guys probably won't know, but me and TJ, shout out to Private Jeebus, in the kind of funny weekly Zoom calls that we do, we pretend we're like an actual athlete. It's me and TJ play and we stream it in the Zoom call, and everybody watches us play. I can't wait to play the new version of that in that Zoom call with him. Like, I'm more excited about it. And there's new
Yeah.
modes, I think that's the way to do it, especially if you're gonna. That's why, again, when everyone was condemning 2K, it's like, it's a whole new game with whole
Yeah.
new graphics, with whole new systems, with whole new modes. The My Park, or whatever they call it, the neighborhood, has a whole new area. You're paying for
Yeah.
something. It's not just the same game.
Yeah. And to be fair, when when it was first announced, it was kind of iffy on what the new things would be
Yeah,
for
they
the
didn't
game.
announce it.
Yeah. So I understand that. And I do think that like when you put work into it, like paying for the upgrade is absolutely fine. I think what 2K's done with that is absolutely fine. Um yeah, they did get kind of slaughtered for that. I'm really excited to see how it looks. And I'm really interested to see what the feedback will be with next gen in terms of like the Maddens and the FIFAs and how people react to those, and if they're like, if it gets more positive press
It won't.
just because it has the new look. You don't think so?
No, it won't, because you won't notice it the way you think we're gonna notice it. That's why I'm
Got it.
super excited to see what happens with NBA. Like, is it going to be
Mm,
so noticeable that it's a new game and things like that, or is it going to
got
look
it.
like a resolution upgrade? We're about to find that.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm ready to slay 2K. I'm ready to absolute slay them if it just
Right.
looks like a resolution upgrade with a couple of new modes. Like, this could be a free upgrade. I'm ready to do that. I just hope it isn't that. So yeah, but I'll you know me, I play a lot of sports games,
Yeah.
so I'll be on the top of it. Don't you worry.
Does the NBA, does that have ray tracing, the upgrade? Do you know?
I don't know off the top of my head.
Okay.
Yeah,
Because it'd be
I
interesting. I
can
do know
look.
that ray tracing. I know that
NBA.
ray tracing takes effort to put in, and it's not just sort of like a plug and play sort of thing. So I'm interested to see whether for some studios that warrants the $10 extra cost for next gen is the amount of effort it takes to put in stuff like ray tracing.
Okay, let's have a look what I got here. We've got ray tracing has been one of the most discussed features of the upcoming gaming console generation, and for good reason. True to the name, it's a technical, demanding process that aims to realistically simulate how light works in visuals. 2K Sports has previously confirmed that ray tracing will be one of the main few big improvements to next gen's NBA 2K21. This was written by Scream Rant, Nathan P. Gibson, by the way. So shout out to them. So yes, it will have ray tracing.
Yeah. NBA will also be a really, really interesting game to see with ray tracing in terms of like what light reflections and all that stuff through ray tracing does.
Yeah.
With the sweat, you get close-ups on characters' faces, the reflection on the floor, and all that stuff, and what exactly it can do.
Yeah.
So I'm actually excited to see that in general, to be honest.
Next up, we got some exciting news coming from Sea of Thieves. They announced on their Twitter that Sea of Thieves will have improved load times, 4K 60 FPS on the Xbox Series X, 1080p 60 FPS on the what is that on? On the Xbox Series S, maybe? Let me check this tweet real quick so I can understand it a bit better. I've read it and I'm like, that doesn't make sense to me. I can't see what it says.
Probably the Series S, you'd assume, right?
Yes, it was on the Series S. I forgot to copy that part.
So it's 1080p and not 1440.
Says 1080 60 on the Xbox Series S.
Interesting.
Crash is getting worried.
I'm gonna be 100% honest with this, and then with Devil May Cry, which I don't think we've actually talked about, not having ray tracing in the upgraded version.
Yeah,
I
on
am
the
kind of like
on the S.
on the S, yes, on the S. I am like slowly getting more and more worried. I'm not super worried because I plan on getting a Series X at some point down the road anyway. So it's
Why
not
would
something
you
that I'm
not have just
super
got it? I told you.
fine. I'll still use the S anyway, even when I do upgrade. And either way, I'd rather wait for Gears of War, because even if a Gears of War console came out, I'd still want to get that. So
I can hear you again. My headset died, so I've got you through my head.
yeah, plug
I've
another
had to
one,
put
and it's
these in,
loud.
but they're extreme. Can you just talk? Can you hear this?
Hello, hello, hello. I can't hear it, but
Okay.
it is saying that you're talking on Discord,
There
so
you
I'm
go.
sure it's making
It
some
is.
noise.
It is so loud from here, but it works for us. So just don't worry about it. All right, don't worry
Okay.
about it. It's weird seeing myself on camera without headphones on though. I don't know. Just a me thing, maybe. Just a me thing, maybe.
It might be because you shaved.
I hate you.
I'm just
Life is Strange and Tell Me Why developer has 6 games in production. Doesn't mean all of them are going to come out, by the way. True
Yeah.
Achievement, I took this one from, and it was written by Brittany Vincent. Don't Nod Entertainment, the developer behind games such as Life is Strange and the upcoming Twin Mirror, is hard at work on a variety of new games, 6 to be exact. In a recent interview with GamesBeat, Don't Nod CEO Osaka Gilbert confirmed the company is working to add Oscar, not Osaka. Oscar, apologies for that. Working to add a brand new studio in Montreal to handle the workload in an effort to create multiple narrative titles at once. The multi-focus approach, as Gilbert sees it, could help diversify the company's portfolio of titles. Quote, our studio is growing, with 6 games in production now, Gilbert explained. Our recent releases have been very successful in terms of press reception and player reception. I'm very proud. Fresh, I for one am absolutely happy about this news. You know how much I love Tell Me Why. I watched Haley play through Life is Strange. How are you feeling? Are you up for more of these experiences? Are you excited for Twin Mirror?
I don't really know what Twin Mirror is, to be honest.
Oh, okay. This one was shown at XO, definitely. It's that other trailer.
That means I've probably seen it. I just don't recall it.
Yeah.
I'm excited for whatever the next game they put out is, to be honest. I enjoyed Tell Me Why that much that like I've sort of before that, and we've talked about it before, where I was like, I was done with this type of game.
Yeah.
And Tell Me Why really like showed me like, oh no, this type of game can just be well done. I just feel like certain developers kind of got lazy with it, and I sort of stopped being willing to put my foot in the door in terms of that genre. And Tell Me Why has 100% changed that, and I'm really excited to see what they did with what they plan to do with whatever games they put out.
Here's a question for you.
Yeah.
But what happens when it's not in Game Pass? Tell me why it was
Ooh.
in Game Pass day one. Do you think it's still a genre that you would necessarily jump into if it wasn't in Game Pass?
I think I enjoy Tell Me Why so much. And if it was to be I don't think if it was a game that came out like, here's part 1, in 3 months you'll get part 2. I don't think I'll ever like indulge that in this type of game anymore, especially after playing Tell Me Why week after week. It was sort of like a TV series where it was like, I can't wait to like put an hour or however much time aside that you need to play this week's episode. I think for the first one I would buy it. And then we'll see where that goes. And it's like, Tell Me Why it was like an offshoot of this type of game, or it's like, I really like just like how Don't Nod does this, right?
Yeah, it worries me. It worries me they got 6 in
Yeah.
production though, because it feels very Telltale-y again, where I'm like, oh, you had the success, and now we're gonna try to do loads of things. Like, no, just oh.
I really hope it's like Microsoft money behind them for some of this or whatever.
That'd be nice.
Yeah, or it's sort of like we have 6 in production. We don't really know where we're going.
Prototyping.
We want to try some new things.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
And maybe that's the avenue they're taking. But if it is, I agree with you. If it is 6 like full games that they plan on putting out, I do think it is. They have their hand in too many pots right now, or whatever. However that saying goes.
Finger in too many pies.
I don't think I've ever heard the saying go that way.
What?
Yeah, I don't think I've ever heard the saying "go finger in too many pies."
You got your finger in too many pies.
Yeah, I'm just letting you know. I don't think I've ever heard that. I'm not saying you're wrong with it. I just don't know if that's more of like a UK thing than an American thing. But I do. That does worry me a little bit. But I'm gonna trust them with it for now.
Okay, what does the phrase "he's fingering every pie" mean? For example, when they nominated me for the board, I'm sure Bill had a finger in the pie. Another form is. This don't make sense. Hmm.
It
What?
could very well be a saying, and it's just not something I've heard, mind you.
I'm trying to. Hey, this is my Xbox and me, but we do what we want.
Okay.
Yeah. Having one's finger into that sounds so British. Having one's finger in too many pies, to be involved in too many things, to have too many tasks going on, to be able to do. Yeah, no, it's just, okay. I'm not crazy. As long as I'm not crazy.
No, I'm saying it's probably a saying.
It sounds British. When I see the quote, which is having ones, it's like, yeah, that's British. That's definitely British. Jesus. Next piece of news though is all about the Xbox Series S for those that are buying it. I don't know if why this wasn't reported earlier, but it's only just come out now. So I don't know if we were gaggled on it or something. I don't know. I did on embargoes and stuff. I didn't get an S, so I don't know. But the Xbox Series S has 364 gigabytes of usage storage. So that's 148 gigabytes of its SSDs reserved for operating system. How does that make you feel?
I'm fine with that. I'm gonna be honest. I'm with the 1S. I'm used to deleting stuff every 5 seconds. I plan on getting an external anyway. I'm gonna just pretend it doesn't exist. I'm pretend it's not that small.
Okay.
And just go on with my life.
Yeah.
I don't need to keep thinking about like, oh man, the Series S 364 might not do ray tracing in every game. 1080p for Sea of Thieves. Which the 1080p for Sea of Thieves, I think, is like really. I don't want to talk about it. Fix it, I'll be honest.
You're disappointed. I'm sorry, dude. I'm sorry. There was an article that went out over on Game Informer with with the big man Todd Howard talking all things, a few new details when it comes to Starfield. It won't have multiplayer, Elder Scrolls 6, and will those games be coming to Gamepass? And that was confirmed. I don't want to read it out on here just because it's more of a lengthier read. But I do think everyone should go over to Game Informer and definitely check out the interview. I think it's worth checking out some of the things that are said. And yeah, I mean, this Bethesda stuff, obviously, we still got to wait for it all to go through. But we're extremely excited I am extremely excited, I should say, for Starfield.
I'm gonna be honest, Starfield being on Game Pass makes me more excited than I would be if it was a standalone game I had to buy.
Yeah.
Because I bought Fallout 4, and soon after I bought it, I kind of regretted it because I'm like, this isn't the type of game for me to buy at a $60 price point. Where it's if I go into it with Game Pass, yeah, for me, 100% for me. Let me be 100% clear about that. But with Starfield, it's like it's on Game Pass. I can sort of test the water on it, and then I won't have that sort of regret of putting that money into it, right? Where it's like I might have enjoyed it if I had waited for it to be on sale or something like that. So yeah.
Breaking news has just come in from myxboxandme.com from Zyger. Control Ultimate Edition gets delayed. This one was written by obviously Zyger over on www.myxboxandme.com. Remedy Entertainment announced this early morning that the release of Control Ultimate Edition will be delayed to an unspecified time in early 2021. News comes via an official announcement on their Twitter around 2 p.m. PT. The tweet says, an update from our development team, Control Ultimate Edition will arrive on next generation platforms early 2021. We want the final quality of the game to be awesome, and so we need a bit more time to work on it. Thank you for understanding and patience.
What does that do to you, Fix?
Nothing. I don't care. I know I've been saying I want to play it. I don't want to play it. I want to play it. I don't want to play it. I want to play it because I want to play the Alan Wake stuff. The more and more I don't play it, the more and more I'm like, that's okay. It's okay. You missed this one, Fix. It's okay. It's not an Alan Wake sequel.
Fix missed the game.
I don't miss a lot of what the things that I do care about. Usually, I haven't missed many. I can't wait to really get into like Game of the Year talk. The amount of games I've played and beat this year is like a lot, and like, oh yeah, so keep going with it. Keep going with it.
I'm interested to see what makes your list this year. I'm very interested to see what makes your top 5 of your list this year.
Oh, that's a good question.
There's a game I think that'll be on your list, which I don't want to be on your list.
Go on, what?
No, I
Oh,
won't say it.
we
We'll
got
have
a whole
discussion at a
month.
future date. What?
Got a
Yeah,
whole
I know.
month. We got
No, no,
the
no.
end of the month.
I don't want to affect your thought process on anything, so I'm gonna hold it to myself. I'm gonna keep it in my inner jacket pocket. I'm gonna keep it right here. We can talk about it at a later date.
You gonna remember? You gonna remember what it is?
Oh, I believe me, I will not forget what it is. I will not forget what it is.
I'm trying to think now, like what it could be.
You can think.
Well, let's plug. Oh no, we're not plugging. We're gonna do Games with Gold. Jesus, Games with Gold this month. You've got Origami Shadow Edition available November 1st to November 30th. Swin Sanity available November 16th to December 15th. Full Spectrum Warrior available November 1st to November 15th. And Lego Indiana Jones November 16th to November 30th. Let's plug, and get ourselves out of here, Crash. We got to plug this week, my friends.
All the My Xbox and Me stuff. The Twitter, if you're not following us on Twitter, follow us. The YouTube, if you're listening to this podcast, subscribe to the YouTube channel. And then if you're watching this on YouTube, rate us on iTunes. The fact that you watch us on YouTube, but you don't rate us on iTunes,
doesn't matter.
Thank you for watching us.
Yeah.
Thank you for watching us, but please go rate us.
Yeah, I think the big one right now is, for me, is my review of the Xbox Series X. I put a lot of time into it, a lot of effort into it. It's over on my personal YouTube channel, youtube.com/mcfixer. It's currently at just under 300 views. I'd love it to at least get to like 500. My unboxing did like 600, so it's just, yeah. I think I just went at the wrong time. I think I should have held off on it. I shouldn't have went in there with the big boys and tried to play ball. I thought the YouTube algorithm would have helped me, but no.
It ended up swallowing you whole.
And it swallowed me whole. It did. It did.
Yeah.
Don't forget to also check out the unboxing videos. We've got a Q&A that's up on the My Xbox and Me channel. And if you want to watch the video version of myself and Mike from outside Xbox, all over on my personal channel. So much content out there right now. So much content. Yep. Yeah, keep being amazing. We've given you 2 episodes this week, so come on. Don't be upset with us. Be amazing. And yeah, until then, I will love you, leave you, and see you all later. Goodbye.
Goodbye.